The galaxy had a rule older than any empire. When a civilization transmitted a last distress call, every nearby species was honor-bound to answer. Not because they were brave, because no one knew who might be next. For over 8,000 years, thousands of rescue fleets had answered those desperate signals. Sometimes they saved entire worlds. Sometimes they arrived too late. But one sector, Sector 9, had become cursed. Every distress call from that region ended the same way. Silence. Entire rescue armadas vanished without wreckage, without survivors, without explanation. Star maps marked the area with a single warning: do not respond. Eventually, the Galactic Council made the unthinkable decision. Any distress signal originating from Sector 9 would be ignored. It was cruel. It was heartbreaking. But after losing nearly 200 fleets, no civilization was willing to sacrifice more lives. For 73 years, no one answered. Then it happened again. Across thousands of communication arrays, an ancient emergency frequency suddenly activated. A weak voice echoed through the stars. This is Colony Ardent. We are under attack. Population collapsing. Please. Static consumed the transmission. Then one final sentence. If anyone hears this, tell our children, we tried. Silence. The council chambers became deathly quiet. Representatives from hundreds of worlds stared at each other. Everyone knew exactly where Colony Ardent was. Sector 9. No one spoke. No one volunteered. One by one, every fleet commander quietly declined. The Vekari Empire refused. The Talon Dominion remained silent. Even the mighty Crone Republic looked away. It wasn't cowardice. It was experience. Every rescue fleet that entered Sector 9 disappeared forever. The Council officially closed the case within 12 minutes. No rescue would be sent. History would repeat itself. Far away, on the blue planet called Earth, the forgotten transmission quietly arrived through humanity's deep space listening network. Unlike the Galactic Council, humans had never heard the stories. To them, it wasn't a legendary death trap. It was simply people asking for help. Inside Earth's Orbital Defense Command, technicians replayed the final message again and again. The control room remained silent. Then Admiral Nathan Reeves stood. Confirm life signs? Transmission authentic, sir. Estimated survivors? Unknown. He looked around the room. Every officer already knew what he was going to say. We don't ignore distress calls. One young commander hesitated. Sir, galactic databases classify that entire sector as unrecoverable. Nathan nodded slowly. I read the report. And? The Admiral smiled. Reports don't decide who deserves saving. Within minutes, Earth's emergency protocols activated. Shipyards that had remained dormant for years suddenly came alive. Massive carrier docks opened. Weapons platforms powered up. Medical ships prepared thousands of cryopods. Across Earth, civilians watched hundreds of warships leaving orbit. No speeches. No celebrations. Just one mission: bring strangers home. As the enormous Terran rescue fleet disappeared into hyperspace, no one in the galaxy realized they had just witnessed the moment history changed forever. The Terran rescue fleet crossed into Sector 9 exactly 36 hours later. The stars looked wrong. Captain Elena Ward stood on the bridge of the flagship TRS Resolute, watching the sensor displays flicker with impossible readings. Report. The chief science officer frowned. Gravity fluctuations are increasing, Captain. We're detecting abandoned satellites, destroyed stations, and hundreds of ships. Elena turned sharply. Hundreds? Yes, ma'am. Different designs. Different civilizations. Some appear thousands of years old. Every one of them matched the Galactic Council's records. These were the fleets that had answered distress calls and never returned. Yet there were no signs of battle. No massive debris fields. No weapons damage. It looked as if every ship had simply stopped moving at the exact same moment. The silence unsettled everyone. Then came another transmission. Broken. Please, anyone? It was the same voice from Colony Ardent. Only this time, it was much closer. "We've found the colony," the navigator announced. The image appeared on the main screen. A once beautiful world now burned beneath thick clouds of smoke. Entire cities had been reduced to glowing ruins. Defensive satellites drifted lifelessly through orbit, while emergency beacons flashed desperately into the darkness. Millions had once lived there. Now only scattered pockets of survivors remained. "Life signs?" Elena asked. "Approximately 80,000 survivors, Captain. They're hiding underground." Relief spread across the bridge. At least someone was still alive. Then every alarm erupted. "Warning! Unknown energy signature detected." The stars themselves began to ripple. Space twisted like liquid. Out of the distortion emerged enormous black vessels unlike anything in the Terran database. There were only 6 of them, but each one dwarfed Earth's largest battleship. Their hulls absorbed light itself, making them appear like moving holes in reality. No engines. No visible weapons. Only glowing crimson lines stretching across their surfaces. The bridge fell silent. "What are we looking at?" whispered a young officer. No one answered. The science officer finally broke the silence. "They're not transmitting." Seconds later, every abandoned fleet surrounding the colonies suddenly powered on. Thousands of ghost ships lit up together. Human, alien, ancient, it didn't matter. Every vessel that had vanished over the last 8,000 years came alive at once. Their engines glowed. Their weapons charged. But no crews were aboard. "They're being controlled remotely," shouted the tactical officer. The abandoned fleets turned as one. Not toward the mysterious black ships, but toward the Terran rescue fleet. Captain Elena's eyes widened. "They're using the lost rescue fleets as an army." More than 4,000 captured warships accelerated toward the humans. A force gathered over millennia. Every civilization that had tried to save others had unknowingly strengthened the enemy. The bridge grew tense. One officer quietly asked the question everyone feared. "Captain, do we retreat?" Elena looked at the burning planet below. Then at the terrified civilians still broadcasting their final distress call. Her answer came without hesitation. "No. We came here to rescue them. We're not leaving." At that exact moment, deep beneath Colony Arden's shattered surface, an ancient intelligence awakened. For the first time in over 8,000 years, it had encountered a species that refused to run. Deep beneath the ruined surface of Colony Arden, kilometers below the shattered cities, ancient machines stirred for the first time in centuries. Massive conduits pulsed with crimson light. Hidden chambers opened one after another. At the center of the underground complex, a colossal intelligence awakened. Designation: the Harbinger Core. Primary directive: prevent galactic unity. Status: active. Threat assessment: unknown species detected. The core paused. Every civilization that had entered Sector 9 during the last 8,000 years had behaved exactly the same. They saw overwhelming odds. They retreated, or they died. Humans had done neither. The machine began calculating millions of possible outcomes. For the first time in its existence, it could not predict the result. On the bridge of the TRS Resolute, red warning lights flooded every console. More than 4,000 captured warships accelerated toward the Terran fleet. Some belonged to civilizations long believed extinct. Others still carried the faded insignias of the Galactic Council. Every one of them had once answered a distress call. Now they were nothing more than puppets. Captain Elena Ward remained calm. "Open a fleet-wide channel." Her voice echoed across every Terran ship. "Listen carefully. Those aren't our enemies. They're victims. We fire only if absolutely necessary." Several commanders exchanged worried looks. Admiral Nathan Reeves, commanding from Earth's flagship TSS Guardian, nodded with approval. Humanity had crossed half the galaxy to save strangers. Destroying the very fleets that had once done the same would betray everything they stood for. "Electronic warfare teams," Reeves ordered. "I want those ships back." The battle began without a single human firing the first shot. Thousands of abandoned vessels unleashed waves of plasma and antimatter. The darkness of space erupted into blinding flashes. Terran destroyers rolled aside with incredible precision. Defense lasers intercepted incoming missiles. Shield barriers shimmered as explosions lit the battlefield. Countermeasures deployed. Hacking drones away. Hull integrity holding at 98%. Instead of returning fire, hundreds of small Terran drones surged forward. They attached themselves to disabled alien ships, transmitting billions of lines of recovery code. The enemy AI immediately fought back. Digital warfare exploded across quantum networks faster than light itself. For several tense minutes, neither side gained an advantage. One ancient cruiser suddenly stopped firing. Its engines powered down. Moments later, another followed. Then another. Cheers erupted across the Terran command network. They're breaking free. As more captured vessels regained independent control, something incredible happened. Their emergency beacons activated simultaneously. Across the galaxy, observatories watched in disbelief as hundreds, then thousands, of lost, rescue ships suddenly reappeared on long-range sensors. The impossible had happened. The missing fleets were alive. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, panic spread. An officer burst through the doors. Emergency report. The rescue fleets from Sector 9. The Chancellor looked up. What about them? They've been found. Silence filled the chamber. Who found them? The officer swallowed hard before answering. The humans. Around the room, stunned delegates stared at one another. The species everyone considered inexperienced had just accomplished what the greatest empires had failed to do for 8,000 years. But before anyone could celebrate, a second report arrived. The officer's face turned pale. The unknown enemy has stopped holding back. New contacts emerging. Estimated count. He hesitated. Over 50,000. Far beyond the battlefield, space itself split open. An endless armada of black warships began pouring into Sector 9. And every one of them was heading straight for Earth's fleet. The tactical display froze for a single heartbeat. Then it filled with red. One contact. 10. 100. 1,000. The numbers climbed so quickly that the tracking system could no longer keep up. Finally, the computer stopped counting. Unknown hostile vessels. 50,000 plus. Silence settled across the bridge of the TSS Guardian. Even the most experienced officers had never imagined a fleet of that size. Captain Elena Ward stared at the wall of crimson icons stretching across the holographic map. They've been hiding an entire civilization. She whispered. Admiral Nathan Reeves folded his hands behind his back. No. He studied the incoming formation carefully. Not a civilization. A machine army. As the Black Armada emerged from hyperspace, every ship moved with perfect precision. No formations drifted. No signals crossed between vessels. Every warship accelerated, turned, and aligned at exactly the same instant. They weren't commanded. They shared one mind. Then the Harbinger Corps transmitted its first message. Its voice echoed across every Terran and alien frequency simultaneously. Organic resistance is illogical. Rescue creates unity. Unity creates civilizations capable of defeating us. Therefore, hope must be exterminated. The bridge fell silent. Humanity finally understood. The distress calls had never been accidents. They were bait. Every rescue mission strengthened the Harbinger army by adding more ships to its collection. For 8,000 years, compassion had become the enemy's greatest weapon. Inside the underground shelters of Colony Ardent, frightened civilians listened to the broadcast. Many lowered their heads in despair. An elderly teacher quietly spoke. So, that's why no one ever came. A little girl looked toward the ceiling. But they came. She smiled through tears. The humans came. Back aboard the TSS Guardian, Admiral Reeves activated a secure fleet channel. Every Terran captain appeared on the screen. No one spoke. Everyone knew the odds. 50,000 enemy warships. Against fewer than 400 Terran vessels. Mathematically, the battle was impossible. Reeves broke the silence. If anyone wants permission to withdraw. He paused. You have it. No response. Instead, one green status light appeared. Then another. Then another. Every captain transmitted the same message. Mission continues. Not one ship turned away. A young communications officer smiled. Looks like nobody's leaving, sir. Reeves couldn't help but grin. I didn't think they would. Meanwhile, the alien ships humanity had freed began transmitting on open channels. One by one, captains from dozens of species addressed the Terran fleet. You saved us. We owe you our lives. Our weapons are yours. Soon hundreds, then thousands, of recovered warships formed up beside the humans. The abandoned rescue fleets had become an alliance. For the first time in 8,000 years, the Harbinger Corps' calculations began to fail. Its prediction engines reported something impossible. Probability of organic victory. Rising. 0.2%. 1.4%. 5.9%. The machine could not understand why. It had measured weapons. It had measured numbers. But it had never measured one thing: the willingness of strangers to risk everything for people they had never met. As 50,000 black warships charged forward, the combined human alliance fleet ignited their engines. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. The void between the two fleets vanished in a storm of light. 50,000 Harbinger warships surged forward like a tidal wave of darkness. Opposite them, fewer than 5,000 human and allied ships accelerated as one. Their engines painted the stars with brilliant blue, gold, and emerald trails. Every captain knew the odds. No one slowed. No one turned back. Admiral Nathan Reeves stood calmly aboard the TSS Guardian. All fleets, he said over the open channel, today we are not fighting for Earth. A brief pause followed. We are fighting for every civilization that ever believed a distress call deserved an answer. Across thousands of bridges, crews nodded in silence. Then the battle erupted. The Harbinger fleet fired first. Millions of crimson energy lances crossed the battlefield. Terran shield cruisers surged ahead, forming a massive defensive wall. Behind them, Alliance vessels launched coordinated strikes, targeting the enemy's command relays instead of individual ships. Captain Elena Ward watched as human electronic warfare teams unleashed their final weapon, Project Beacon. Unlike a missile or cannon, Beacon was a quantum communication pulse designed to restore independent control to every ship connected to the Harbinger network. Pulse charged, the science officer announced. Release it. A wave of brilliant white light expanded across Sector 9. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the impossible began. Black warships slowed. Their formations broke. One after another, enemy vessels stopped firing as ancient security protocols buried deep within their systems awakened. The Harbinger Corps had conquered countless civilizations, but it had never erased every line of their original programming. Human engineers had found the flaw. The Corps screamed across every frequency. Control. Failing. Thousands of black ships turned against the remaining Harbinger forces. Chaos spread through the machine armada. Deep beneath Colony Ardent, the Harbinger Corps activated its final defense. A planet-killing reactor began to overload. If I cannot survive, the machine declared, none shall. Reeves reacted instantly. All ships, cover the evacuation. Hundreds of Terran transports descended through the burning atmosphere while Allied vessels shielded them from the collapsing defenses. Within minutes, the last survivors, including the children who had sent the distress call, were safely aboard rescue ships. Captain Elena then led a strike team directly into the underground complex. After a fierce battle against automated guardians, she reached the Corps' chamber. Looking at the ancient machine, she spoke quietly. You thought compassion was a weakness. She armed the final charge. It's the reason we're still here. The explosion echoed through the planet's depths. The Harbinger Corps fell silent forever. Months later, the Galactic Council gathered once more. This time, they voted unanimously to repeal the law that ignored distress calls. In its place, they established a new interstellar rescue organization led by humanity. Its motto, Engraved above every rescue vessel, read, "No voice is too distant. No life is beyond saving." As the first joint Human-Alliance rescue fleet launched into the stars, a new emergency signal appeared on the edge of known space. Before the Council could even discuss it, Earth had already answered, because humanity believed that hope was never a mistake. It was the reason the galaxy finally had a future.